Imagine for a moment that everything you cling to, every painful memory, every toxic relationship, every missed opportunity, isn't merely a source of suffering but a prison you've built with your own hands. Think about it. What if the key to your freedom, happiness, and growth lies in the very things you've been desperately trying to hold on to? Today we'll explore the psychology of letting go, one of the most transformative concepts in emotional well-being. This isn't just about theory or abstract ideas, it's about uncovering profound truths that can reshape your life. By the end of this journey, you'll not only understand why letting go is so difficult but discover how it holds the secret to your healing, your potential, and your freedom. The final revelation we'll uncover is perhaps the most powerful and life-changing of all. Psychologists define letting go as the conscious process of releasing attachment to thoughts, feelings, relationships, or situations that no longer serve us. Yet paradoxically, the very things we need to release often feel like the most difficult to surrender. Think about it. How often do we replay painful memories hoping for a different outcome? How often do we remain in situations that harm us because the familiar pain feels safer than the unknown? If you've ever found yourself unable to move past a betrayal, or struggled to leave a toxic job despite knowing it's destroying your well-being, you've experienced the powerful grip of attachment. What makes letting go so challenging is that our attachments aren't just mental, they become part of our physical reality. Research shows that when we hold on to emotional pain, our bodies actually respond as if the hurt were happening right now. Your heart rate increases, stress hormones flood your system, and your muscles tense up. This is why thinking about an argument from 3 years ago can make you feel just as angry as when it happened. Your body doesn't know the difference between past and present pain. This creates a cycle that's hard to break. The more you think about what hurt you, the more your body reinforces those neural pathways, making those thoughts even easier to trigger next time. Most of us were never taught how to let go properly. Instead, we picked up unhelpful strategies like suppression, just don't think about it, distraction, keep busy and you'll forget, or my personal favorite, the false promise of time, time heals all wounds. But time alone doesn't heal anything, it's what you do with that time that matters. Think of emotional wounds like physical ones. If you get a deep cut and just cover it up without cleaning it, it might fester beneath the surface even if you can't see it. Many people walk around with emotional infections from wounds they tried to ignore years ago. The process of letting go isn't about forgetting or suppressing. It's about freedom. It's about reclaiming the energy we waste on holding on to what hurts us. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. What are you gripping so tightly that it's leaving marks on your soul? Is it a relationship that ended but still occupies your thoughts daily? Maybe it's a dream that didn't work out the way you planned, and you can't stop wondering what if. Perhaps it's something someone said to you years ago that still echoes in your mind whenever you try something new. Or it could be an image of yourself, who you should be, how much you should achieve, that doesn't match your reality but won't let you accept who you actually are. What would happen if you finally opened your hands and released it? Not because the thing didn't matter, but because carrying it has become heavier than letting it go. Let's dive deeper into why letting go proves so tremendously difficult for us as humans. Our resistance isn't merely stubbornness, it's wired into our psychological makeup. The brain forms neural pathways around our experiences, especially emotional ones. These pathways become like well-traveled roads. The more we use them, the deeper they become, until avoiding them feels almost impossible. But there's more at play than just neurology. Psychologists have identified several powerful forces that make letting go so challenging. First is the sunk cost fallacy, our tendency to continue investing in something simply because we've already invested so much. Think about relationships that extend years past their expiration date because we've been together so long. This isn't rational, it's emotional accounting. Then there's the illusion of control. By holding on to past hurts or resentments, we maintain the belief that we can somehow change what happened. It's like clutching a lottery ticket from last year's drawing, hoping the numbers might somehow change. This false sense of control often feels better than accepting the powerlessness that comes with letting go. Our identity also gets tangled up in what we hold on to. When you've been the person who was betrayed, or the one who almost made it big for so long, who would you be without that story? There's comfort in familiar pain, at least it's a pain you know. This is why people stay in dead-end jobs or keep toxic friends around. The uncertainty of who we might become without these attachments can feel more frightening than the certainty of suffering with them. Think about a time when you couldn't let something go. Maybe it was a grudge, a regret, or even a physical object with emotional significance. What was the story you told yourself about why you needed to keep holding on? Was it really about the thing itself, or was it about what that thing represented to you? Evolution plays a role too. Our brains develop to keep us safe, not to keep us happy. When something hurts us, our primitive brain marks it as a threat and keeps reminding us about it to protect us from similar situations. This is why embarrassing moments from middle school can still make you cringe 20 years later. Your brain is trying to help you avoid social rejection, which to our ancestors could mean death. Understanding this can help us be more compassionate with ourselves. Your brain isn't trying to torture you with painful memories, it's trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how. But the system that evolved to protect us from saber-toothed tigers isn't always helpful for navigating modern emotional landscapes. Cultural factors also influence our ability to let go. Many societies praise persistence and determination while viewing giving up as weakness. We celebrate stories of people who never surrendered their dreams, who pushed through rejection after rejection until they succeeded. While persistence can be valuable, this mindset can make it harder to recognize when holding on has become harmful rather than helpful. There's profound wisdom in knowing when to persist and when to release, a wisdom that's often overlooked in our never give up culture. Think about how many phrases we have that glorify holding on: stick to your guns, stay the course, never back down. But how many do we have that honor the courage it takes to release something that's hurting you? Perhaps we need to start celebrating the strength it takes to open your hands when everything in you wants to keep them closed. Another reason we struggle to let go is our natural resistance to grief. Every time we release something, whether it's a relationship, a belief, or even a grudge, we must face the sadness of its loss. Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, famous for her work on grief, noted that people will go to extraordinary lengths to avoid feeling grief, including holding on to things that harm them. This explains why someone might keep their ex-partner's belongings years after a breakup, or why we can't delete text messages from someone who's no longer in our lives. Have you ever noticed how much energy it takes to maintain these attachments? The constant thoughts, the emotional weight, the mental space they occupy, it's exhausting. Yet we continue because the alternative, facing the emptiness, seems worse. Our brains are also wired to seek certainty and avoid ambiguity. When we let go, we step into the unknown. What will fill the space of that relationship? Who am I without this grudge I've carried for years? Our minds prefer the discomfort of the known over the uncertainty of release. Researcher Brené Brown found that many people would rather stay in painful situations than risk vulnerability. Think about a time when you stayed in a situation you knew wasn't good for you. Perhaps a friendship where you gave much more than you received, or a job that drained your energy and self-worth. Why did you stay? Often, it's because we fear the vulnerability of starting over, of admitting we made a mistake, or of facing life without something we've grown accustomed to, even if that something causes us pain. We cling to what we know because, paradoxically, there's comfort in familiar discomfort. The brain treats uncertainty as a survival threat, triggering the same stress responses as physical danger. This is why contemplating a major change can literally make you feel sick to your stomach. Your body is preparing for perceived danger. Research in neuroscience has discovered something fascinating about how memories work. Every time you recall a memory, your brain actually rewrites it when you store it again. This means our most painful memories can become more distorted and emotionally charged each time we revisit them. The breakup that was merely sad becomes devastating. The embarrassing moment becomes humiliating. The argument becomes unforgivable. This helps explain why some hurts seem to grow rather than fade with time. We're inadvertently strengthening them each time we replay them. The more often you recall a painful memory, the stronger that neural pathway becomes, making it even easier to recall next time. It's like repeatedly taking the same path through a forest. Eventually, it becomes the easiest route to follow, regardless of whether it leads somewhere you want to go. The most insidious aspect of our attachments is that they often disguise themselves as solutions when they're actually problems. We tell ourselves we're holding on to resentment to protect ourselves from being hurt again, but the resentment itself becomes the source of our ongoing pain. We convince ourselves that obsessing over a past mistake will somehow prevent future ones, but this obsession actually prevents us from learning and moving forward. Consider how often you've told yourself a story about why you need to hold on to something painful. I can't forgive because then they'll think what they did was okay, or I can't let go of this regret because I need to punish myself. These narratives feel protective but actually keep us trapped. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman's research shows we're wired to avoid loss more strongly than we're motivated to seek gain. This loss aversion makes letting go feel like losing something valuable, even when what we're holding is causing us harm. Now let's explore how we can apply the insights of letting go in everyday life. Understanding why we cling is powerful, but true transformation comes through practice and integration. One of the first steps in this process is practicing radical acceptance. This means acknowledging reality exactly as it is, without resistance or denial. It requires courage to say yes, this happened, or yes, this relationship is over, without adding, but it shouldn't have, or if only things were different. Think about acceptance like cleaning a wound. It might sting at first, but it's essential for healing. A practical way to begin this practice is through mindfulness meditation. The next time you feel yourself gripping tightly to a thought or emotion, pause and observe it without judgment. Notice where you feel it in your body. Is there tension in your chest? A knot in your stomach? Simply observing creates space between you and the attachment. Once you've created this awareness, the next step is ritual release. Psychologists have found that symbolic acts of letting go can profoundly impact our ability to release attachments. This might involve writing a letter to someone who hurt you and then burning it, or placing stones representing burdens into flowing water. These rituals acknowledge both the significance of what we're releasing and our intention to move forward without it. Psychologist Dr. Kristen Neff's research shows that self-compassion is crucial in the letting go process. Many of us hold on to things out of self-judgment. We believe we deserve to suffer, or that our pain somehow makes us special or important. When working with clients struggling to let go, therapists often focus first on developing self-compassion. Try speaking to yourself as you would to a friend facing the same situation. Would you tell them to keep punishing themselves? Or would you gently encourage them to release what's hurting them? This shift from self-criticism to self-compassion creates emotional safety, making it easier to loosen your grip on painful attachments. There's a saying in recovery circles: pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Pain comes from what happens to us, but suffering often comes from how tightly we hold on to that pain. The physical body plays a crucial role in releasing attachments. Trauma researcher Dr. Bessel van der Kolk explains that trauma and emotional pain get stored in our bodies, not just our minds. This is why seemingly unrelated physical practices like yoga, dance, or even vigorous exercise can help release emotional blockages. Pay attention to areas in your body where you tend to hold tension. For many people, it's the jaw, shoulders, or stomach. Regular body scans can help you notice these physical manifestations of attachment. When you identify tension, try consciously releasing it through breath and gentle movement. One simple practice is to tense a muscle group while thinking of what you're holding onto. Then exhale deeply as you release both the physical tension and, symbolically, the emotional attachment. The body-mind connection works both ways. Relaxing your body can help relax your grip on painful thoughts and emotions. Therapist and author Lori Gottlieb recommends a powerful reframing technique called both/and thinking. Often we cling to pain because we think letting go means invalidating our experience. If I let go of my anger, it means what they did wasn't wrong. Both/and thinking helps us see that multiple truths can exist simultaneously. What they did was wrong and I can release my anger about it. I made a terrible mistake and I don't need to punish myself forever. This relationship meant something important to me and it's time to move on. This approach honors the complexity of human experience without keeping us chained to the past. It allows us to acknowledge the significance of what we're letting go without being defined by it. Try practicing this kind of thinking with something you're struggling to release. I feel heartbroken about this loss and I can create space for new beginnings. Another powerful technique is cognitive reframing, changing how you think about what you're letting go. Instead of viewing release as loss, try seeing it as exchange. You're not just giving something up, you're trading it for something better. Peace, freedom, possibility. This shift in perspective can make letting go feel less like sacrifice and more like wise investment. Therapist and author Lori Gottlieb suggests asking yourself, what am I making room for by releasing this? This question transforms the focus from what you're losing to what you're gaining. Studies show that people who practice letting go experience measurable benefits. They report lower stress levels, improved immune function, better sleep, and more satisfying relationships. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who could forgive, a form of letting go, recovered more quickly from cardiac events and showed better overall heart health. Remember, letting go isn't a one-time event, it's a practice. You might need to release the same thing multiple times before it loses its grip on you. Each time you practice, though, you strengthen your capacity for freedom. Timing matters when it comes to letting go. Sometimes we try to rush the process before we're emotionally ready, which can actually strengthen our attachment. Psychologist Dr. Harriet Lerner explains that forcing yourself to let go prematurely is like putting a bandage over an infected wound. It may look better on the surface, but the infection continues underneath. Pay attention to signs that you're truly ready to release something. You can think about it without the same emotional charge. You've learned what you needed to learn from the experience. You can tell the story without feeling like a victim. If you're not there yet, be patient with yourself. Focus on understanding what this attachment is still trying to teach you. Sometimes what appears to be an inability to let go is actually an intuitive recognition that there's still something to learn from the situation. The goal isn't to rush through your pain but to move through it with awareness and purpose. The Japanese practice of kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold, offers a beautiful metaphor for letting go. Rather than trying to hide the breaks, kintsugi highlights them, creating something more beautiful and valuable than the original. Similarly, when we let go of painful attachments, we don't erase our history, we transform it into wisdom and strength. The goal isn't to forget what happened or pretend you weren't hurt. It's to integrate these experiences into your life story without being controlled by them. Think about a difficult experience you've moved through in the past. How has it shaped you? What strengths or insights did you gain that you wouldn't have otherwise? This perspective helps us see that letting go doesn't diminish our story, it enriches it. It allows us to carry forward the gold of what we've learned without the burden of pain that once accompanied it. As you work with these techniques, you'll likely encounter resistance. This is normal and even healthy. It means you're challenging deeply held patterns. When resistance arises, treat it with curiosity rather than frustration. Ask yourself, what am I afraid would happen if I let this go? Often, our fears are exaggerated or outdated, based on past experiences rather than present reality. Sometimes the things we cling to are tied to our identity, who we think we are or how we want others to see us. Releasing them can feel like losing a part of ourselves. But consider this, your true self isn't defined by your attachments, but by your capacity to grow beyond them. Every time you let go of something that no longer serves you, you don't become less. You become more authentic, more present, more alive. As author Mark Nepo writes, The flower doesn't dream of the bee. It blossoms and the bee comes. When you release what no longer serves you, you naturally attract what does. Fear often masquerades as practicality when we're considering letting go. I can't leave this job because what if I can't find another one? I can't end this friendship because who will I talk to? These concerns sound reasonable, but they're usually amplified by our fear of change. Psychologist Dr. Susan David calls this emotional reasoning, letting how we feel drive what we think and do. To counter this tendency, try gathering evidence rather than listening to your fears. If you're considering leaving a toxic job, for example, research the current job market in your field, update your resume, or speak with a career counselor. Taking concrete actions helps move you from fear-based thinking to fact-based assessment. Remember that your brain's primary job is to keep you safe, not to make you happy or fulfilled. It will always highlight potential dangers of change while minimizing the slow damage of staying stuck. Your job is to consider the evidence, not just the emotion. Social support makes an enormous difference in our ability to let go. Research consistently shows that people with strong support networks navigate major life transitions more successfully than those who try to go it alone. This doesn't mean you need a huge circle of friends. Even one or two trusted people can make a significant difference. Share your struggle with someone who can listen without judgment or immediate advice giving. Sometimes simply saying, "I'm having trouble letting go of this," out loud can begin to loosen its grip. Support groups, whether in person or online, connect you with others walking similar paths. There's profound power in realizing you're not alone in your struggle, that others understand the particular pain of your attachment and have found ways to release it. If your attachment is particularly deep or complex, consider working with a therapist or counselor who specializes in grief, trauma, or cognitive behavioral approaches. Professional guidance can provide both emotional support and practical strategies tailored to your specific situation. As we arrive at the culmination of this journey, let's take a moment to reflect on the profound significance of what we've uncovered. The inability to let go isn't just a personal struggle. It's a universal human experience that shapes our individual and collective well-being. But here is the final, most powerful revelation. Letting go isn't actually about loss at all, it's about creation. Every time you release something that no longer serves you, you aren't just removing something negative, you're creating space for something new to emerge. Nature abhors a vacuum, and the universe rushes to fill empty spaces with fresh possibilities. This truth transforms how we view the process. Letting go becomes an act of faith, of trust in life's cycles of death and rebirth. When you release a resentment, you create space for forgiveness. When you let go of a relationship that's ended, you make room for new connections. When you surrender an outdated identity, you allow your authentic self to emerge. Imagine a world where more people embrace this practice, where instead of clinging to outdated beliefs, painful memories, and toxic patterns, they released them and created space for growth. Conflicts would transform, healing would accelerate, and humanity would move closer to collective wisdom. Neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman's research shows that the brain is remarkably responsive to patterns of behavior. Every time you practice letting go, you strengthen the neural pathways that make future releases easier. This is why many spiritual traditions emphasize daily practices of surrender and release. They're not just philosophical concepts but practical tools for rewiring the brain. Start small if letting go feels overwhelming. Practice with things that have less emotional charge before tackling your deepest attachments. Let go of small irritations, minor disappointments, or physical clutter. Notice how it feels to release something and survive the emptiness that follows. Pay attention to what naturally flows into the spaces you create. This builds your letting go muscles and teaches your nervous system that release leads to renewal, not just emptiness. The more you practice, the more you'll discover that letting go isn't something you do once when the pain becomes unbearable. It's a way of moving through life with grace and openness. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of learning to let go is how it transforms your relationship with the future. When you're carrying the weight of the past, its hurts, disappointments, and unfulfilled expectations, there's little energy available for creating what comes next. But as you practice release, you'll find yourself increasingly present and available to life as it unfolds. Possibilities you couldn't see before become visible. Relationships deepen because you're fully there, not partially absent in old grievances or fears. Creative solutions emerge because your mind isn't cluttered with outdated narratives. This is the ultimate freedom that letting go offers, not just relief from past pain, but expanded capacity for future joy. It's like cleaning a cloudy window. Suddenly you can see so much more of the landscape before you. The view was always there, but your ability to perceive it was limited by what you were holding on to. As we conclude, I leave you with a challenge. Identify one thing in your life, one thought, relationship, or situation that you've been holding on to despite knowing it no longer serves you. Ask yourself, what am I afraid would happen if I let this go? What might become possible in the space it leaves behind? What small step can I take today to loosen my grip? Remember, this isn't a one-time process, it's a lifelong journey. But each thing you release brings you closer to the person you're meant to be, someone capable of moving through life with both strength and grace. As we close, I invite you to share your thoughts, reflections, and questions in the comments. What has this exploration of letting go revealed to you? What resonates most deeply? Your insights might inspire someone else to take the first step on their own journey. This isn't the end, it's the beginning of a new chapter, one where you release what weighs you down and step boldly into the life you were meant to live. Thank you for joining me on this journey. May you find courage, wisdom, and peace as you practice the art of letting go.